Today I'm going to demonstrate for you some little tips and tricks on setting up the 2236 display. There's been some reports from the field that people are having trouble with some of the hole sizes, and there's certainly some screws throughout this unit that are very snug into their assigned holes. And I want to kind of go through that process and maybe, like I said, show some tips and tricks to help you put this unit together quicker and easier. The first such place where you might have such an issue is, you'll see as you look at the instructions, I've cheated a little bit. We've already put the feet on because that hasn't been causing anyone trouble. The next step is we have to put these small screws into the base called the connector bolts. And if you look at these, they're very blunt tipped, and that may be causing some people some problems because they're a pretty snug fit, like I said, into their hole. So the key to this really is downward pressure with your screwdriver. So I like to get right on top of these, guide it in, and just get the first thread where it starts to bite. And if I put downward pressure, it'll direct itself and go in. And when it bottoms out, it knows when it's done. So again, I've preset these, and I want to take you to the next kind of starting point. The instructions will tell you to select the panel marked A. So you want to just make sure you have that, and you want the cam fasteners facing you, and you want to follow one of these dashed lines cut in the base and simply put this on top of those fasteners. If by chance you are unable to get it down over those screw heads, perhaps the fastener is closed. If you zero in on this for me, here's an open fastener versus, watch, when I close this, see how it rolls, and it's either open or closed. If you have any trouble, make sure that they're all in the open position when you start down. So once again, I'm back to with the A facing me. I'm putting them in. Then with a Phillips head screwdriver, rotating clockwise until you feel it lock. And that panel is now capable of holding itself up. Next, you're instructed to take a B panel and find the two fasteners for it to drop onto. Notice the B panel is taller. See what I did there, by the way? This can go in either down from the top or in from the back, like I did there. So I want to now lock these just like I did the others. Excuse me, I'm trying to stay out of the way of the camera. Okay. Now I can put the first of the wood screws. You'll see each wood screw, each panel is going to be connected to its neighbor through one and into the edge of another. And this also is a very tight fit. So if you visualize it here, the way it's going to bite into the edge of its neighbor board, now I have to do that after first passing through a panel. And so the first one's perhaps the hardest one here. You need to maybe wiggle this panel till you can feel, notice I'm threading by hand here, and I can feel it start to bite. I obviously have found the hole behind there. Then I can take the Allen wrench that's provided, put the short end into the screw head, not the long end. If you put the long end, you have very little leverage to turn this thing. If I put the short end in, make sure it's nice and firm in there. See how I can just twist that and the screw takes itself in until it's snug. Okay, so we've gone short panel, A panel, tall panel, B panel. Next we take another short panel, A, get it in on top of those fasteners, lock down. Come through the neighbor until you feel it. Now here's where I'm going to cheat for, I'm going to use a power gun, just for speed so I don't bore you. I go to the last panel, do the same. This one I have to come down on, because I can't get behind it. I come down. It might not be open all the way. Alright, there I am. Lock it in. Come through the panel. I remember that I hadn't put one in this panel. Might have to jiggle. Okay. Now we are secure, the bottom of the unit secure. It's time to move on up. Next I'm going to take a long panel from the upper section. You'll be instructed to place dowels into the top of each panel, 2 dowels into each panel. This too is a very snug fit, but you have to kind of trust that the holes are correct, because they are. And if you need to, gently with a hammer, tap the dowels down to help them get firmly seated. You can tell when they're all the way in. Then we take a long panel on top of a short panel, and there's holes for the dowels in the bottom of that panel. We place it on top of the dowels, and because they're snug, we got to make sure we get this down all the way. Once it's in place, we're going to, as you can guess, put another screw through the face. Make sure you feel it with your fingers before you start trying to trust the wrench or your gun. Okay. I can do the same in this panel into its edge. Okay. And I'll do that, keep alternating. Short panel now on top of the long. I've got my dowels in this case in the upper. I locate them. Get the panel seated firmly. Now I want to screw through it. Onto a long panel. Because I had this one apart, I have one dowel in here and one there, but you get the point. On, down till it's firm. Long panels get 2 screws. Finally, the last panel. Okay. Look for any screws I failed to put in. I see one here. By now the unit is very well lined up and shouldn't have any with any movement. Need one up top. Good. Okay, we put the top cap at this point. Just drop it in place. The unit is ready for signs. The sign I don't think anyone's had trouble with, but you locate the side that has the two weighting inserts on the edge of a board, that's what you'll take the curvy Stover sign. I like to get them all started before I tighten anyone down. Once these two are started, notice this sign is going to be bent to go in place. See, I want to curve it in. And the way to do that is to find this fastener by sighting through this. So I'm going to bend the sign until, aha, I see the weighting hole for it. I get that started. Okay. As that tightens up, it establishes the bend that we wanted. And then finally, on the opposite side, the Whitman's sign through its two sign holders as well, and then you repeat. For putting trays in, those are pretty straightforward. It's good.